Hey everybody, Marcus Crawford here with the Idaho Quadcopter channel. Hey, you can see in my hand I've got a couple of drones here. I have the Skydio 2 drone and I have the new DJI Air 3. We're going to do a little tracking test with these guys. MotionTrack is what Skydio calls theirs, and ActiveTrack is what DJI calls theirs. You can see my e-bike behind me there, so I'm going to ride around the schoolyard here on the e-bike. I'm going to keep it in low speed. We're going to go about 10 or 11 miles an hour, something like that. I'm going to track from behind, and we'll see how that looks. And see how both drones do. Now, what are we looking for? We're looking for cinematic tracking. So one of the criticisms of the Skydio is that it moves all around and moves so quickly that it's not exactly cinematic. However, it tracks and does obstacle avoidance very well. With this guy, it's got a newer camera, so I think that, you know, the video quality is probably going to be better. In fact, I know the video quality is going to be better. But how well will it track me, and how cinematic will it look? So we're just going to find out. It bears mentioning that the Skydio, I'm trying to remember, it's 3 or 4 years old. I've had it for quite a while, been flying it for quite a while. It's always been the king of tracking. It was way ahead of its time when it first came out. However, I think DJI has definitely caught up with this guy. Well, we're going to find out if DJI has caught up with the Air 3. Let's quit messing around. Let's get these birds in the air. So we're going to start with the Skydio 2. Let me show you how I've got it set up here. I'm going to move the camera and show you on the bike. So on the bike I have a mount for the beacon, so I'll be able to look at the beacon, and I'll also use my phone, but my phone will be in my pocket. So anyway, nothing else left to do here but to launch this guy. And oh, by the way, I'm going to mount the camera. I don't know if you can see, I've got a mount right there for the camera, so we'll have that on there as well. Okay, I think we're finally ready to fly here. This thing says to hand launch. The beacon, yeah, okay, so the beacon I think is ready to go. So I'm going to put this in my pocket and I'm going to hit the button on the beacon. So we'll see how that goes here. So holding the drone up, and it's supposed to find me when you launch, when you hand launch like this. It says hold to fly, so we're going to hold it here. So there it goes. Yeah, and it's turning around. And it looks like it's found me. Let me go get my helmet. Okay, I see the beacon already says back, so that's where we want it. So yeah, there's no reason not to get going here. Turn the bike on. Okay, off we go. Let's see how this guy does. And of course, sure enough, as soon as I start this, here comes a car. Never fails. And I can hear the drone behind me. I can't see it. We're going about 10 miles an hour. And boy, I can hear it making some maneuvers in the typical Skydio way that it does. And I kind of figured out this this route kind of before I started here, so that I could kind of memorize it and do both routes the same. And then here comes another car, of course, just as I'm starting. There were no cars in here till I start flying the drone, and then here come the cars. It never fails. There was literally nobody here. Then all of a sudden, but anyway, we're good. He's moved on by. And again, let's see, we're up about 11 miles an hour, and the drone, you know, I can hear it back there, so it's not having any problem following me. And you know, like Skydio says, they prioritize obstacle avoidance over the position of the drone. So, in other words, it's going to avoid an obstacle in order, it may not maintain its distance behind us because it wants to avoid an obstacle. So, anyway, if that makes any sense. Hopefully it did. But I can hear the drone back there, and we're all the way up to a mighty speed of 12 miles an hour here. This isn't a speed test. I want to give both of these drones as big of a chance as I can. And back on through. Lots of tree branches, lots of things to avoid. So we'll see how they do here. Okay, we're gonna do one big lap around the school. So let's head on out. So far, the Skydio seems to be performing well. And again, I've got the bicycle just in its first mode, which is, you know, relatively slow. Kind of handy to have this beacon mount, and I can see my cameras moving just a little bit as we move around. This will be a good test of the stability of the Action 2 camera as well. And I don't know if my bike is running out of battery here, but it's, I don't know, it shouldn't be. My bike is really slowing down. And it's saying I got plenty of battery. I don't know what's going on. Okay, I kicked up the speed there. I don't know what happened. But all of a sudden, my bike slowed down. So anyway, just going around the outside of the school here. All these batteries to worry about, you know, the battery on the bike, the battery on the drones, the battery in the controllers, etc. So anyway, we're just going around the perimeter here, and then we'll go back and let's see how much battery we have on the drone. I've got something else I want to try here, if we have enough battery in the drone. We'll see if it can, we'll put it in orbit mode and see if it can track us and orbit. That's going to be a trick in these, you know, with all these trees and stuff. And of course, then also I have to remember how to set that up on the beacon on the Skydio. So I'm going to pull right back in by my truck. And the Skydio seems to be doing a great job. It's still got plenty of battery. Let's stop here for a second, and we'll put it in. We'll see if I can get it into orbit mode. So I can hear it behind me. I'm hitting the blue button. I think gets me back. I'm trying to remember how I get to the menus. So okay, there we go. So I want to go over here to orbit. We're going to select that. And it's on 4 meters per second, which is kind of fast. Well, let's set it down to 3 meters per second. And let's remember to do that with the, let's remember that speed so that we can try that with the the Air 3. Gosh, I kept wanting to say Mavic. So I can hear the drone back there. Again, I'm going about 10 miles an hour, but I don't think it's it may be trying to orbit me, but it's probably struggling. I haven't seen it in front of me yet. I hear it off to the side, so it's working at it. It's working at it. Now it seems like it's more behind me. You got to admit that this is a big ask. We're moving and we're asking it to orbit at the same time. And we've got all these obstacles that it has to figure out. So I'm trying to hold it about steady 10 miles an hour here. Now the key will be when we get past all these trees up here. Yeah, I can see it trying to move to the side of me, but I don't think we're really getting an orbit. Now let's see when it gets out here a little bit more in the clear, and let's see if it can do it. There should be no reason that it doesn't pop out. Yeah, and there it is. So it's to the side of me now, and it'll move to the front. Yeah, so it's trying that orbit. So again, it prioritizes it's avoiding obstacles over its position. So that's why that makes sense. So I knew this would be a little bit weird, but I figured also it was worth a shot. So we'll, yeah, it's doing great. It's in front of me now. The problem it had before was all those obstacles, and it's going to struggle here because, yeah, it's probably just going to kind of follow us because it's going to have a hard time getting around some of these obstacles. Now hopefully I can remember my exact route and duplicate it with the DJI Air 3. And we're just about back to the truck here, as you can see. And let me see if I can, it's just going to orbit us while I take it out of that mode here. So let's hit that button. And we're going to go into MotionTrack, Fixed Track. I want to go into hover mode. Yeah, there's hover right there. Okay, so we're in hover mode. I'm going to see if I can use the beacon to bring it around and land it. So one of the cool things about this, I want to see how high the drone is too, because we're going to want to duplicate that with the yeah, now it says it's disconnected from my phone, so I can't really tell, but I'll just have to eyeball the height. But anyway, with the beacon, I can hold down, you're not going to see it, I can hold down the blue button and I can move the drone. So let me see if I can get at a position here where you guys can see that. So I'm holding down the blue button and then I'm moving the drone over, and I can bring it in closer, I think, with the minus button. Yeah, and it's coming closer. And that's good. And now we're going to land. So I'm just going to hold down the red button and it will auto land. Landing 3, 2, 1. And there it goes, it's landing. And it should, once it lands here, it'll pick up that camera and it'll turn off video automatically. So, and by the way, it starts video automatically and it ends video automatically. So anyway, let me get back in front of the camera here. Let me get this guy shut down and then we'll get out the Air 3, and this guy is hot. Okay, so I've got the Air 3 fired up, and in fact, let's start recording. We are going to shoot in 4K 30. And as you can see, I am using, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, I'm using original Dobo's love handles. And so that allows me just to let this sit like this, and so, you know, I can have the controller right at hand while I'm doing the tracking with the drone. So yeah, we are in good shape here, takeoff permitted. Let's go ahead and do an auto takeoff, and I'll see if I can put it in the same position that we had the Skydio 2. So auto takeoff, maybe. There we go. This controller is a little bit too close to me, but I need it, you know, when I'm doing this tracking. So let's go straight up. Just for the fun of it, we'll see if the drone will. I launched it right on the edge of a kind of a worn-out white pavement stripe, so we'll see if it'll be able to find that spot when it lands. But let's move it out about the distance that we had the Skydio to us, and then we'll put it in ActiveTrack. And I think that's about the same height. That's pretty darn close. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put it in tracking and follow. So I'm drawing an X around myself, and then it's got me. So we're going to go into, yeah, and it's got me from trace. So we're going to click go, and yeah, let's just see what we can do. We're going to go about the same speed. Make sure my kickstand is up. That would be embarrassing to crash, wouldn't it? So let's go ahead and take off here, and let's see if it'll. Let's see how it does. And I'm hearing the obstacle beeping on the drone, but I can also hear the drone behind me, so I think it's doing all right. As long as I don't hear a crash, I'll be happy. And of course now I have to remember the exact pattern that I flew the Skydio to, but maybe it won't matter if it's not exact. But you know, as long as I can hear this guy squawking at me, I know the drone's in good shape. And yeah, I'm getting a lot of that obstacle chime. So I might not be exactly the same as I was with the Skydio 2 here, but pretty close enough that we'll be able to take a look and see how well they do, and see if I can take a peek. Yeah, the drone is stuck, isn't it? Yeah, I got to see where it's at. I hear it over here. Oh, there it is. Let's see if I can move it around. Hang on here. Had to stop. Hard to work the controls. So let's turn the drone around, and it should see me. Yeah, I don't know how long ago it lost me there, guys. So you guys will see that. So I would say definitely Skydio is the winner there. And let's see, let's go up a little bit higher, because we were higher. And I'm in the shade here, but maybe it'll catch me again. And go. So let's go. Let's try it again. Yeah, it's following me again. Okay. Well, I would say that in that case, listen, it's good that the drone didn't crash, but Skydio's the definite winner there, for sure. Let me see. It's moving around some trees. Yeah, no, it lost me, didn't it? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go back and see if I can find it. Okay. I am again. Let's try this one more time. Go. So it's got me again. So it definitely has problems reacquiring. So I can tell you, and I'm having to readjust my camera here. I don't know how far my camera was out of, I was out of frame there. But let's see. Yeah, it seems to be following us here. Let's see as I make this corner. Let's see what it does. No. Where'd it go? Yeah. Well, I can say that Skydio, or excuse me, DJI has got a ways to go before they get to the level of tracking that Skydio does. So, yeah, let's move forward here. And I'm around this corner here. Get the camera down. See if we can get it close to me again, and we'll try and acquire one more time. One thing about it is that it is really good at obstacle avoidance. In other words, what it lacks in tracking, it's good at obstacle avoidance. It's not crashing. Okay, so it's got me again. Let's try this one more time, and it should just be following us from behind. And there goes my camera. You were looking at the sky with my camera again, my Action 2 camera. Yeah, and if I go a little slower, it seems to be able to do it. So, no, yeah, it lost me again. Yeah. Well, this is kind of a bust. Trying to figure out which tree it's looking at here. Oh, there's the drone. Now that's interesting that it lost me there. That is interesting, because it was right, you know, it made the corner. I thought I saw that where it had made the corner. So there I am. Let's drop that camera down. We'll try it one more time. We'll see if we can get back. And tracking, I don't know what I hit there, but go. And it should have me. And if it can't follow me here, we're in trouble. We're doing about 11 miles an hour. Yeah, and it seems to have me. But definitely I can say definitively that tracking wise, DJI has got some work to do to catch up to Skydio. So it just isn't the same. You saw how many times it lost me there. Let's see this corner right here. And it's got me around this corner. So I think if you're kind of in a more wide open area, it'll probably be fine. You know, it's almost not even, I was going to try that orbit, but it's almost not even worth trying it, because I know as soon as it gets behind a tree or something, it'll lose me. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out into the field out here, and we'll try that orbit, and we'll see how it does. And I'm going to slow way down here and give it a good opportunity to follow me around this corner and see how it does with these trees. And it did. You know, if you go slow enough, it'll catch. I had to go a lot slower. So again, I think we can say definitively that when it comes to tracking, yeah, nobody's up to Skydio 2 yet. As good as the OA is on this drone. Okay, we're out in the middle of the field. Let's see if we can put this guy into, and I'm readjusting my camera here. We're going to see if we can put it into orbit mode. And I'm going to click on orbit, or POI. Stop, I guess I have to stop first, and then POI. And then let's see, I think we were going counterclockwise with the, and we were going about 3 meters per second. So I don't know how fast that is, but we'll find out here. So it's starting its orbit. And let's just ride around in the open field here and see how it does. And I can tell you my camera is sure shaking around on my, and it seems to be orbiting me. The Action 2 camera is really is not coping well because the mount, bouncing around on this grass, the mount just isn't tight enough. So you're not going to see that footage right now, I guess is what I'm telling you. And for whatever reason, my motor quit. Oh, on the yeah, it slipped out of gear, but on the bike. Okay, let's see if it'll follow us back to the truck here. And I'm trying to go fairly slow, and it's following us. Yeah, I must be accidentally hitting that button on my bike because it keeps slipping out into 0. And I'm about due to charge the battery on this bike too, so let's bring it on back. Yeah, I think that I'm hearing that beeping. I think the drone is stuck someplace, so we'll stop here. I'm going to set the camera up on the tripod, and then we'll see if we can fly the drone back. Okay, what I realized I didn't do was a screen recording, but you know, we didn't have that with the Skydio, so I guess that doesn't really matter. But you saw when it lost me and so forth too. So let me, yeah, see if I can figure out where we're at here. Let's go straight forward. Yeah. And let's see how much battery. We got 62% battery. Let's hit return to home on the controller.
Return to home.
And let's see if it'll, it's in that optimized return to home. Let's see what it does here. How high it goes and so forth. It's going about 20 meters high. I just realized I'm not doing a screen recording, so you guys aren't seeing that. But I want to see how accurate it is on its landing. I'm turning the Action 2 camera around, and I want to see what it does. It's almost over the top of us now. Dropping the camera down.
Landing.
And so I took off on the very tip of this stripe, so I want to see how close it gets, and it's going to be close. Yeah, it's going to be right there. Look at that. So that's one thing that about a DJI drone on precision landing, you don't have to have, it's exactly where it took off. So you don't have to have, and we're looking right into the sun so you can't really see me. Let's turn the drone around here. That's probably a little bit better, although you still can't see me very well. Okay, so mixed results with the Air 3. A lot of good stuff, great precision landing, and it has perfect obstacle avoidance. It didn't run into anything, so the drone was safe. But for sure, it does not have the tracking ability of the Skydio 2. We can say that. Let me get everything shut down and we'll do a quick conclusion. Okay, before we start the conclusion, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. This video is for entertainment purposes only. There's nothing scientific about this test. It was just me messing around with a couple of drones. So, you draw whatever conclusions you want to draw. Anyway, here's my final thoughts. Hey, okay, the tracking contest between the DJI Air 3 with APAS 5.0 and the Skydio 2. There is no question the Skydio 2 heads and tails was better at tracking. This guy got stuck several times. It's just, I think it's just a difference in the way they track. This guy uses GPS, and I don't know if it also has, I'm sure, an optical component to it, but I'm not exactly sure how that goes. ActiveTrack on the DJI drone uses, I think it's purely optical. I don't know how much GPS is involved. But this guy never got stuck anywhere. And of course it was moving around. You see the way it really quickly moves around you. So I'm going to give the edge to the Skydio 2 as far as tracking goes. And I haven't even looked at the footage yet. Hopefully it's not too boring in the spots where this guy got stuck. However, I'm also equally sure that the video quality is going to be way better on the Air 3. It's just got a way more advanced camera on it, and it's going to look really good. And probably the way it moves, it's not as aggressive in the way it moves around you. So I think also for that reason, even cinematically, it'll look better as long as it's tracking. When it's not tracking, I don't know, it lost us pretty easy. And it doesn't have the technology to find you on the other side, to predict the direction that you're going, and like this guy does. This one was just, you couldn't lose it. It was always right there. Both fantastic products as just a drone, an overall drone to fly. In other words, if I had to pick between the two and say, if you can only have one, which one would you keep? For sure, it would be the DJI Air 3 for me. It's just a better all-around drone. It's got way more features, a lot more things it can do, better camera, the telephoto camera, etc., etc. However, if you are trying to do some tracking, if you're on a mountain bike, a motorcycle, skiing, or whatever, and you're trying to track, man, the Skydio 2 is still the king. Anyway, I guess that's about it. This is Marcus Crawford with the Idaho Quadcopter channel out, and if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Most of all, I really appreciate you taking the time to look at this video. And of course, we'll see you on the next one. The wonderful new DJI Air 3 and the excellent Skydio 2.